Now, I, too, want to get to this military issue. Since last week, little did I know, I was talking about the disastrous foreign policy all throughout the Middle East, all throughout Europe, Asia, our own hemisphere, denouncing our own Monroe Doctrine, talking about hollowing out the military. That was just last week. We've done it before. And now, of course, Hegel is going to propose a budget leaked to the New York Slimes, among others, in which they're going to try and eviscerate the United States military. Why is it that left-wing presidents are always trying to eviscerate the United States military? The answer is this. They hate the United States military. Oh, they do. They hate it. They detest it. They go through the motions on Memorial Day. They go through the motions on Veterans Day. But they don't like it. Particularly this president. He doesn't like it. And he doesn't like them. And every damn budget, he's trying to chip away here, chip away there. Meanwhile, the most profligate spending man in human history, food stamps through the roof, welfare through the roof, Obamacare, creating programs left and right, duplication, overlap, doesn't matter. GAO says $200 billion in waste, 52 different federal programs just for entrepreneurial promotion, 35 federal agencies for infrastructure, 26 different federal programs funneling money to telecommunications, phony green corporate jobs, 18 federal domestic food assistance programs, 47 federal training and employment programs, 82 federal programs to improve teacher quality, tens of billions of dollars. I just gave you programs that are $100 billion right there. But what are they going to do? They're going to cut our troops from 570,000 to 440,000? The smallest, as you've heard over and over today, since 1940? The Chinese are spending like they mean to expand their power, to expand their influence, and they clearly are. They're on a spending binge. The Russians flexing their muscle. We won the Cold War under Reagan. Now we're losing it under Obama, as I explained last week. The Middle East is on fire. Communism is on the rise in our own hemisphere. The world is more dangerous than I can ever remember. And I remember when it was damn dangerous. So what do? We show our enemies what? That our civilian leadership is weak. They know the difference between a Reagan and an Obama, between a Nixon and an Obama, between a George W. Bush and an Obama. They know the difference, just like we do. And it's not enough to cut the troop levels. No. The Air Force A-10 attack aircraft, this is a crucially important aircraft. It has been for decades. And when the enemy hears the A-10, they wet themselves. In other words, we are defeating our military internally, here at home. We're doing things to our military unilaterally that no foreign army could ever do to our military. If Putin was setting American military policy, spending policy, he would sign off on this budget, wouldn't he? Same with the head of China, who nobody knows who it is or how to pronounce his name. That's right. He'd do it too. They're laughing at us. And they're going to continue to push. They're going to continue to grab. They're going to do whatever the hell they want. You know why? Because they know there's not a damn thing Obama's going to do about it. Nothing. And that's not even enough. That's not even enough. Obama's going to attack our men and women in uniform by driving up their deductibles and their co-pays. But don't worry, he's only going to hit the retirement of people coming into the military, he says, not the people who are currently in the military. And it's even worse than I can describe right here. Step up and resign on principle? Obama's doing more to eviscerate our military than any foreign force, period. Now, these proposed cuts to America's fighting forces continue a trend in which the uniformed military gets less while the civilian bureaucrats and contractors get more. In the past decade, the size of the Defense Department's civilian component expanded significantly, while the size of the uniformed military has actually decreased. Listen to this. Between 2003 and 2012, U.S. fighting forces shrank by more than 2%. The civilian workforce increased by 16% over the same period. Now, let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. This man, Obama, spends like a drunken Marxist. We are spending more money. We are borrowing more money. We are printing more money than any time in human history. So how can it be that there's not enough to fund the strongest military on the face of the earth. And the men and women who populate it, who step up to the plate, unlike the rest of us. I'm just being honest. How can there be enough money for every damn thing that comes out of somebody's head? Some new invented program, increasing an entitlement or something like that? More money to the losers? But the men and women in uniform, no, we can't afford that. The equipment, the armaments to defend us, we can't afford that. Ladies and gentlemen, we can afford it if it wasn't for all the rest. The government is involved in so many things it's not supposed to be involved in. The government is spreading money left and right that it's not doing what it's supposed to do. For example, do you think this president would treat the EPA the way he treats the United States military? Not on your life. They're looking for ways to increase benefits to illegal aliens. Well, they're cutting benefits, earned benefits, to men and women in the military. They talk about building roads. That's the primary job of states and localities, unless they're interstate roads. But who builds the missiles, the tanks, the aircraft? Who provides the armaments, the ships? The states can't do any of that. That is solely the responsibility of the federal government. It's upside down, and intentionally so. They're hollowing out the United States military. As a matter of fact, they're hollowing out so much of the American infrastructure in order to redistribute wealth, in order to advance their social and political agendas, in order to change this nation. You and me, we're proud that we're the number one superpower on the face of the earth, but we see that unraveling too, don't we? The economy is unraveling. The military is unraveling. Our constitutional system has unraveled. One is linked to the other. This is a disaster. Absolute disaster. And then they have this schmuck Schmegel, Hegel. He's in there, the dummy, using a stupid moron Republican to do all of his dirty work. Oh, did I call him a stupid moron? Oh, yes, I did. With all due respect. Let me tell all you anti-military liberals something. Oh, you ready? If there's a major outbreak of war, we're going to have a draft. And your son and or daughter are going to be drafted because you're killing the all-volunteer military. You're chasing people out who are in it. You're discouraging people from going into it. So if there's a major war that takes place, or if we can't fight two wars at the same time, which we used to be able to do, which we used to pridefully say we can fight them. Now it's, we don't expect that to happen. Oh, okay. Under no scenario will that ever happen. Oh, okay. Well, then we're going to have a draft. And all you little liberal pukes out there, you're Johnny and Janie. Yes, they're going to be waiting for their lottery number to come up. We used to pride ourselves in having an all-volunteer military. Now we abuse it. They go in, we make a deal with them, then we try to cut their pay, we try to cut their insurance, we try to cut their education. Only if somebody comes out and has mental issues, then you're going to hear the liberals try and project that on every single person who served in the military. Oh, you were in the military? You okay? Something wrong with you? You're looking at me funny. Ooh, you support the Second Amendment too? Ooh, we're going to have to report you to HHS. I'm very serious about this. The draft. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you something else. It takes a decade to rebuild what this man is doing to our military. They don't just have designs in desk drawers and all of a sudden they pull them out. You can't just build a aircraft carrier, a nuclear sub, or have a weapon system ready to go. Oh, we're ready to go. I mean, you have to build up the bureaucracy to prepare for it. You have to build up the private sector, but which may be working on something else, have to hire people, have to expand their R&D and invest in capital and so on. These things don't happen overnight. The world is extremely dangerous. We're having different kinds of challenges. Terrorism, China's on the rise, and they are serious. Russia's on the move again. Communism in our own hemisphere. It's bad out there, ladies and gentlemen. And in response, we have one of the dumbest men ever to be Secretary of Defense. That's Hegel. Something's wrong with that guy. He got one of the dumbest vice presidents in American history. Check that. The dumbest vice president in American history. And you have a community rabble-rouser organizer who hates the military as the president of the United States. And these generals and these ads, they just keep saluting. Aye, aye, sir. Cut the 600 ship Navy to 300. Aye, aye, sir. How about I resign? I'm not going to do to the United States Navy what the Russians couldn't do to the United States Navy. I'm not going to do to the United States Navy what the Chinese couldn't do to the United States Navy, or the Marines, or the Army, or all the rest of it. We're not going to do to our own men and women in uniform what the enemy can't do to it. I don't hear this. I hear the retired guys talking about it. I don't hear any of those who are currently in uniform just saying, you know what, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. Obama's picking a lot of the generals and the admirals and the brass that he wants, the yes men and women. Yes, he is. Oh, and we have to cut the, on the various bases and so forth, they have little grocery stores and things where the men and women in uniform, where their families can go so they can get a little break on the price of something here and there, and that's one of the benefits. Wow, what a big benefit! They're slashing those to the tune of like $1.4 billion. This president pisses away money left and right. This Congress, the same damn thing. Look how he lives. Look at his opulence. Goes out to California under a pretext. Well, I'm going to meet with the, King of Jordan. We're going to discuss it. Hey, where's the golf course? Off he goes. He lectures the good people of California in the middle of a drought. The Central Valley, California, caused by the federal government. A stupid silverfish. But he wants to play on a couple of golf courses that are private and heavily watered. This man doesn't give a crap about what's going on in this country. He wants to go somewhere, he pops on the airplane, and you pay for it. And then he goes and he talks about climate change. While he's going off the golf courses, which are heavily watered, the guy talks about income inequality. When he lives like a king, she lives like a queen. The girls live like princesses. They do what they want. They live the way they want. They have concerts. They have parties for the birthday. Let him eat cake. In a different country, say like the Ukraine, trust me, this wouldn't be going on. No, I'm not encouraging anything. I'm just saying there's a point at which people have had enough. And I've tried to find a way, a constitutional course that can lead us out of this under Article 5, because I fear what's possible down the road. I really do. With the abuses of power and the rubbing this stuff in our noses. People losing their jobs, losing their health care. Story after story about people who have cancer. They can't get their treatment. They can't see their doctor. It's just dismissed on these Sunday shows with all these talking hacks. Oh, well, that's their problem. Oh, well. What are you talking about? When you turn the instrumentalities of the federal government and the law against the people, there are consequences. I look at all these things going around the world and I say to myself, these are warnings to us. They're warnings. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. As I discussed the other day, Obama is focused on your pension plans. Now, he may not get it done, but somebody wants them. Those are trillions and trillions of dollars that they want. And now they define rich as any individual who earns $183,000 a year. Oh, well, I don't earn $183,000. Hey, pal, they'll get to you. It's just a matter of time. They got you on your health care, didn't they? Yes, they did. But I want you to hear this Schmegel, this Secretary of Defense, this guy who can barely string 2 or 3 sentences together, let alone speak words with more than 2 syllables. Here he is today at the Pentagon. Cut 2, go.
The development and proliferation of more advanced military technologies by other nations, that means that we are entering an era where American dominance on the seas, in the skies, and in space can no longer be taken for granted.
Right. So what should we do? I know what we can do. Cut the military. See, what they're saying is we can cut the personnel and fund more technology. This from the green solar idiots in this administration. I don't trust them with technology, do you? But I want to point out once again, the federal government, 90% of what the federal government does is not in the Constitution. Round figure. It's involved in everything, and it wants to be involved in more. Runs our farms and our coal mines and our fisheries. Runs everything. And everything it wants to. But it's still hungry. It wants more power, more control. And yet it's the only entity in this country that can defend us against other countries. And that's what they want to cut. It's like the border. They're responsible for securing the border, and they won't do it. Why? More deportations than ever. They lie about those figures the way they lie about the unemployment numbers. They change the way they count deportations. Now some jerk who comes across the border and they catch and turn around and kick him in the butt and push him back the other way, that's considered a deportation. Well, guess what? Before this administration, that was not considered a deportation. So they play with the numbers. He lies on and on and on about Obamacare. Oh, we got 7 million new people who signed up, including on Medicaid. Even that joke of a newspaper, yellow journalism, the Washington Compost, over and over again gives them 4 Pinocchios. It's not true, it's not true, it's not. And that doesn't bother Obama. He's out there repeating it every single damn day. Every day.